Greetings. Welcome to In Conversation with Trevor, brought to you by Heart and Soul Broadcasting Services. I go beyond the headlines and beyond the sensational. Today I'm in conversation with Brian Munyawarara, the founder and chief executive officer of Raysun Capital. If you enjoy this conversation, remember to subscribe, to like, and to share. Let's get down to some work. Brian Munyawarara, welcome to In Conversation with Trevor.
Thank you so much for having me, and it's a pleasure to be here.
We first met at the Ideas Festival in Nyanga.
Yes.
How was that for you?
Well, that was an incredible experience. I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed the fact that we were trying to build a platform, thanks to you, build a platform where people could share and exchange ideas. Yeah. And I'm looking forward to the one that's coming up in November, because I feel it's a good platform and people can get to. I really left there. I'm inspired, and my colleagues and I, really benefited from being part of that.
First time I met you, and I'm like, wow, this guy is going to go places. But Brian, you went to Brunel University. You did a BSc honors in economics and business, and then you decided to come back home. A lot of people are like, home, Zimbabwe is tough. I want to go outside. People are starting to be nurses when they've got other degrees just to run away from this country. Yeah. But you finish university in the UK and you go the opposite direction. Why did you come back home?
Well, coming back home was, I wouldn't want to lie and say that it was my first choice. Yeah. Well, one of my biggest dreams was for me to work for the Big Four accounting firms, either Ernst & Young, PwC, so I applied for consulting firms. I applied to these big companies with the hope that I would get a job there, but I didn't. And I was shattered and I was gutted. And I realized that going home was not a bad option. I would be able to start from there and pursue my career in finance, which is what I wanted to do. And I managed to come back. And after coming back, I then began the journey with Raysun Capital. After piggybacking off of being also part of the family business, when I came back, I sat down with my dad, and my dad says to me, "What's your plan?" And it's a very daunting question when when your father is asking you, "What's your plan?" And you don't have a plan, because you're saying, "I've come back and I'm hoping I'll be able to do something." Yeah.
So dad says, "What's your plan? What is your plan?" What did you say then?
I say to him, "Look, my dream is to be in finance. And I have thought about it. I would like to start a business." And he discouraged me, and he said to me, "I don't think you are mature enough for you to be starting a business very early on." I think at the time I was 22, 23. And you're saying to me, for you to be able to be in business and do it successfully without failing, you need a little bit of experience, managing people, understanding finance itself, also just learning the ropes. And he felt at the time, this was in 2018, it was not necessarily the best time for me to be starting a business. So I still say to him, "Look, I appreciate your concern, but I think this is the path that I'd like to take." I argued, "No, try doing an internship first, do this." In hindsight, he was very right, because as quickly as I started that business,
fathers are always right.
Well, I beg to differ. Well, they are a pool of wisdom. Yes. But at times you have to push a little bit back so that you can get to the ultimate goal that you're trying to push for.
Absolutely. And by the way, your dad is late now. Yeah. May his soul rest in peace. Yeah. What do you miss most about your father?
I think I miss being able to look up to someone for counsel and wisdom. He was a constant figure in not only my life, my family's life as well, and a leader. So you miss that kind of leadership. Now it's upon us, this generation, my brothers and I and my mother, to continue that leadership. But it's almost like you're being chucked into a position that you're not really necessarily ready for. Because, even with our African culture, family governance then lies with us. Yeah. And so I miss that we had a leader in him. and he was able to lead us well.
He was a civil servant, eh?
Yes.
Together with your mom.
Yeah. So this is like back in 1994. So both of them were former civil servants. He used to work for the Ministry of Industry and Commerce. My mother used to be a midwife. My father got retrenched, and with his package, he managed to start the family business, what we call the FBM haulage now. My mother continued to work for the Ministry of Health as a midwife. And then eventually, maybe a couple of years, my father then said, no, look, I think it's best if we work together on the business. And the business is now 28, 29 years old. And which is something that I'm very grateful for, because the legacy that is left for us.
And you and your brothers are running that business now.
Yes, and now we are, the second generation that's running.
Don't mess it up, hey?
Well, I understand the wisdom. So I get the wisdom, yeah.
So tell me, why did you go to study economics and finance? What was help us understand the decision-making process there?
I think maybe it would be important for me to share
absolutely.
Before I actually ended up doing economics and economics at A level. During my O levels, I wanted to become a medical doctor.
Oh,
but so
why did you want to become a medical doctor?
I just had passion and care to care for people, and I thought that's the best way that I can heal people, be there for them, and take care of them. That was my primary motivating factor to being a doctor. And also my mother had always told me, I've always wanted you to be a doctor. Maybe one day you'll become a doctor. So, like a combination of both. Come O levels, I don't really do very well in biology, chemistry, and so on. So I'm like, okay, I think maybe the easiest route for me to take are commercials. So I then began to go on that journey, which was into finance. And now, after completing my A levels, I then realized that I had grown a passion for economics. And I felt with economics, you're able to change your communities, you're able to change your own life. So a good understanding of that and how I could actually use it to change my own life and perhaps change other people's lives as well could be a beneficial tool. So that's how I ended up studying finance and economics. Yes.
So you graduated with a BSc? So.
Yes,
okay.
Yes.
And where did you do your high school?
I went to Hillcrest College in Mutare. This was in 2008. That's when I started at Hillcrest College. Yeah, it was a very good experience. I'd say maybe a foundational thing for me, and leadership and being groomed well very early on. I remember very well at the speech night when I was finishing my A-levels, the headmaster then, Mr. Kaziboni.
You were the head boy, eh?
Yes. Mr. Kaziboni said that I had been one of the best head boys that the school had seen.
Wow.
Till that boy. Obviously there are a couple of other teachers that would have been there and have seen. So for them to pass that comment and compliment and receive that award, I felt very honored, but also at the same time, I think it was testament to leadership that was growing at a very early stage, even till now. And it's now been more than a decade since I left.
Leadership, I want us to go there, because even when you go to Brunel, you picked up as outstanding contribution by a student. You end up leading the student trustee for a body of 13,000 students. You were a head boy, and you received an award for outstanding service to the school, cultural person of the year. Do you see these qualities that people see in you?
Initially, I did not. I was just doing. It is something that I felt was a responsibility. For me, leadership is a responsibility to see action and change happen. I'm not the one to sit down and watch things go a certain way, be it at a funeral, at home, at work, and in society. So initially, I didn't see these same qualities. But as I've grown now, and especially during this year, I've then began to realize the amount of leadership that is thrust upon me and the expectation from the teams that I lead, from the people that I interact with. There's some other people, I remember we've been doing a demystifying money tour around the country with Raysun Capital.
I saw that. Well done for that.
Thank you. So now you get people that come up to you and then say, I've been looking up to you and I've been following your journey for some time. And then it kind of takes me back to say, look, I am providing leadership even though I do not see it myself.
Even though you don't have a title.
Yes. So so now I'm at a place where I'm beginning to see those same leadership qualities. Yes.
But I want to go to where you say, I just did. That's what you said, hey?
Yeah.
How do you do what you do, which you think people notice? Because there must be a way that you're doing this. Is it deliberate? Is it intentional? Or is it just you?
Okay, I think sharing from my own personal experience.
Sure.
Yeah. It is initially you're just doing. So I'll give you a scenario where we are inside the house. Visitors have come home. I come from a family of all boys. So the visitors have come. You know very well that, they have to be catered for. You need to arrange accommodation for them. You need to make sure that they have eaten. I would not sit and say, Mom and Dad will take care of it. They would come to me and say, what's the plan? And I'll say to them, well, I've decided maybe they can sleep in this room. I think for dinner, maybe tonight, let us have this. It will be enough for everybody. So that's where it starts. So I'm just doing because you're seeing it's a responsibility and you're filling a gap. Now I've become more intentional about it because I realize the power that positive leadership can have on a company, which is what I've been leading, on communities, which is also what we've been championing through Grace Life Foundation. How positive leadership, and if you're intentional about it, can begin to change societies and begin to change communities. I'll share an example of one of our communities that we've been assisting in Rugare, in the Rugare area, where we set up a greenhouse initiative, particularly because we're trying to champion sustainable agriculture and sustainable living for these people. Initially, they were saying, no, if you just give us the apples, we'll be okay, etc. And then I realized that we cannot keep giving people handouts. Let's empower them. Let's teach them how to do it. And by doing so, we began to see a change, not only in their lives. They were motivated. They began to send their own kids to school. They're able to take care of themselves. So I realized that now in my doing, I've become more intentional because I realized the power in being intentional about it. You can continue to just do, but just doing it aimlessly, even if you've got a goal, you have to have a goal that's leading somewhere. Yeah.
We'll go to your Grace Foundation because I think it's there's a lot of beautiful lessons that sit in Grace Foundation. And I want us to go to the big project, which is Raysun Capital.
Yeah.
Talk to me about the inspiration.
Yeah.
The idea. When did the idea grab you? Where did the inspiration come from?
Yeah. Look, we all know that we live in one of countries that are considered to be poor. There are gaps. There's a persistent gap within our economy or our society of access to finance. And we can champion, even at church, we preach to people about equipping themselves, people being able to take responsibility. But if there's no access to the capital, which is keeping the wheels turning in our society, then people are always going to be at a disadvantage. Earlier on in 2018 or 2017, I was still in the UK. So now we're grappling with the decision. If I go back, what will I do? So my partner at the time, Edson, and I sat down and said, look, what is it that we can do to bring about? What business can we actually formulate that can champion both things? To say we will empower people at the same time by providing this access to finance. This is how the idea came about. And really what Raysun actually stands for is the sun and the ray, but it's spelled backwards.
Yeah.
Really what we're trying to do there is shed some light into people's lives through the finance and the opportunities that they get. So
I'm going to hold you there, and we're going to take a break. When we come back, I want us to drill down into what Raysun Capital actually does. So at home, please don't go away. When we come back, we're going to delve into those issues. See you on the other side.
At the time that I didn't know that there could be treatment. It's one thing to be depressed and not even actually acknowledge that you're depressed.
Welcome back to our conversation with Brian Munyawarara, the founder and CEO of Raysun Capital. So when we took a break, you were just about to get into your stride in explaining what Raysun does. But I must ask you this before you do that. Was it easy starting Raysun?
No, not that easy is furthest from what actually happened.
Right. So what happened?
So you've got a 22-year-old, which was me, trying to start a business. You know nothing about how to start a business, how it happens. Yes, you've grown up with the benefit of being part of the family business, but when it actually started, I wasn't there. So getting an opportunity to register a business, which I thought was the biggest thing for me that I needed to do. I registered the business. You've got the certificate of incorporation. That's just it. And then I quickly then realized that I had to do more for me to be able to do it. I had to look for office space.
If I remember, just to hold you there, I remember how excited I was when I was just coming out of, I think, A-level or something. We registered a private, an NGO, and just the certificate for me was an achievement.
Oh, wow.
And yet you haven't started.
Yeah, because it feels like you've got a, this is the best thing that could have actually happened to you, you know.
But on that particular moment, it is, isn't it?
Well, it is because
You've
it is.
registered.
Yeah, it's a win is a win.
Yeah,
which is what I would say now.
Right.
You know, so you have to celebrate all the wins that you're getting. So I remember now having to look for office space, and I remember very well that there was a place that we were trying to get, and they simply wrote back to us to say, "I am too young. They're not sure if we'll be able to maintain their rentals. So unfortunately, they're going to decline." So then I began to realize that, look, I had to find a way around it. Maybe my age was not working to my advantage. I had to either enlist the help of my mother or my father, who was slightly older, because I think maybe, because of also for our society, older people are often respected more than younger people. So there was a challenge. Getting money to actually fund the business was also a challenging thing. I remember sharing the ideas, first of all, that I had met all the requirements, gotten a piece of a property, a movable piece of property, still went with it to the bank, and the bank manager wrote back to us to say, "You're too young. We're not going to give you access to that money." So it was not easy. It was consistently a challenge and a hurdle after hurdle. Then you've got the combination, or I remember very well that within our first year or second year, the Minister of Finance then said that he was changing the currency and everyone had to operate in the Zimbabwean dollar. So now you're coming from a US dollar position, you're going to a Zimbabwean dollar position. I remember that during that week, we lost a lot of money. And we lost money not because of anything that we had done. It was out of our control. We couldn't go against the government. We couldn't do anything. I remember that during that time, it then began a spiral that consistently went on and on during the journey of the business and to where we are now. Because after that as well, COVID then came. So now it's all, back foot after back foot. And so much so to the point that in 2020, my former partner and I had to then part ways and close shop. And I don't need to actually then say that what came after that was the depression. And a very difficult time for me personally, because I felt I had failed in my quest of becoming an entrepreneur and a business person, and this career in finance that I'd wanted to be on.
So was this? It was still Raysun Capital.
Yes, it was Raysun Capital.
So you shut shop.
Yeah, we shut shop.
You part company with your friend.
Yeah.
You've lost money, and then what?
And then I have to go.
Depression. Did you get treatment for depression?
At the time that I didn't know that there could be treatment. It's one thing to be depressed and not even actually acknowledge that you're depressed. It is the people that are around you that then keep asking you, "Are you okay?" You're like, no, I'm fine. Everything is okay. And then after a while, you then realize, no, I'm not myself. I'm not either not eating, I'm not doing this. I thank God for my mother. And
that's an important point. And we've seen responses from viewers, particularly young men, around the issue of depression and mental health. It's an issue that we're going to be taking up in trying to raise awareness and how people can get help. And I'll share this with the viewers. I've shared it before. Some people might not be aware. I lost my mother and father within 7 days because of COVID. And I went through this phase. I didn't realize what it was, where I did not think I had a reason to get up and go to work. I just lost interest in a lot of things. But for me, the biggest thing was getting up. I mean, the question would be, what for? I've lost my mother and father. That became a big issue. Fortunately, Brian, I've maintained a therapist for the past 15 or so years. She's in Johannesburg. And I scheduled a call with her and said, this is how I'm feeling. And she said to me, Trevor, you are suffering from a terrible depression. Just as well you came to me. So we sat through it and we talked about it. So I think the advice to everybody out there is to seek advice, to seek counsel, to seek the help, and to get the treatment. Because after depression, a lot of people suicide, drugs, alcohol. So it's something that we need to be aware of. So you didn't get treatment for your depression?
Yeah, I didn't get treatment. Yeah, like you're rightfully saying, and I'm sorry I had to go through that. But for me, then the treatment came in the form of my mother. It's in hindsight that I didn't realize, because I was still getting up, but because they begin to see that there's something wrong. So maybe do you want to talk about it a little bit more? What's your plan? Yeah. What do you want to do? How do you then recover from the stuff that you've gone through? So then continue the journey, and like with other many losses that were happening in my life as well during that time, I began to then see that I needed to humble myself. I had to put the tail in between my legs and go back to him and say, look, this is my situation. He said to me,
oh, fathers love it when you guys do that.
Yeah, no, because now you can't argue with the old man anymore.
You paid the school fees?
Yeah. They're like, okay, I've paid my fees in full.
Yeah.
What now? He says to me, look, there's a place for you here at the family business. So now I've been working independently by myself. I'm now working with the family, which in itself is also a very difficult thing. So with my mom, my dad, my older brother Farai, and now having to gel with all of these things. But I'm grateful for that, because during that time, an idea then came about, which was now what we call Freight 365.
So before we go to Freight 365, so you're working with your father, and the company is called?
FBM
Haulage.
Yes.
So you fit in there. They give you a role?
Yes. They asked me to work together within finance. So remember, growing up, we've always been plugged. Either you're interning somehow, you're learning from the people that are already doing the business together with everybody.
How long did you do that for?
Well, I'll share an earlier memory that I've got.
Yeah.
I remember very well that on Christmas Day, we were about, maybe in Form 1 or so, which would be about 12 or 13 years old. My brother and I were sent to go be the security at the workplace. Because my dad said he felt the security guys needed to go home for Christmas.
Wow.
And we needed to go and replace.
Good discipline.
And then we said to him, they need Christmas. How about us? We equally need Christmas too. So we had to go there. I remember sitting up in the tree because we were also scared. We're like, okay, what if something actually happens? But there was nothing. The ground was empty. And it's in hindsight now that I realized that at the very early on, my father was training me for something.
Responsibility.
And yes, and being able to take up responsibility. So
you get done with rather you as an idea comes whilst you're working with the family.
Yeah.
What then happens?
Yes, because now remember my experience now has been in finance and being able to lend. So chatting now with my now business partner Tino Kunda Chisara, we then realized that out of Raysun can be born an actual byproduct of debt factoring, which is a service that we now provide to transporters, where we understand that there are many challenges with working capital. And these guys oftentimes have to wait more than in excess of 45 days for their payments to come. So we start offering debt factoring. So now I say it like it just happened like that. But now I've also had to go through this whole journey that I've had to go through.
You've learned lessons.
I've learned. So through being at the family business, seeing how the challenges that the transport companies are facing, how I could then utilize the opportunity of Raysun Capital, but I then enlisted the help of my very good friend Tino to say, look, we can actually do this together. Let us begin to work on this idea. And then we started offering debt factoring. With this debt factoring, we began to see that not only do the transporters need access to finance, they also need support in the form of education on how to run businesses. Because majority of these transporters are either one or two truck owners. So they don't really have an idea. It's someone who's managed to save their money. They're looking for for an opportunity for them to start something. So through Raysun Capital, we're like, okay, we can offer debt factoring. On top of debt factoring, we can give you access to parts. We can give you access for you to be able to do remittances. So it's almost like a one-stop shop now for these small scale transporters because they are now being able to use that. And as time went on, now we're in 2024, this was 3 years ago, we've now realized that this was a good thing that happened to us. Yes, it was something that we've managed to work on. And now even as we continue with the business, we're seeing that we can continue to provide access to finance in many different ways. Freight 365 is one way. Raysun Capital.
What is Freight 365?
Freight 365 is how we've named this product, which is for the transporters.
Okay.
So it's a business that we are championing.
It's a division of Raysun Capital.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
It is. So it is all in a bit to continue to provide access to finance through debt factoring and through all these other additional services that we know that we can do. So because in essence, to streamline what we were doing, because remember, we're still giving access to finance to individuals, to smaller businesses that are not necessarily transport businesses. We had to be specific and get members of our team to specialize specifically on being able to offer the best service for these transporters. Yeah.
Has technology helped you in any way in your business?
Absolutely.
How?
Look, in the olden day, and if anything that COVID taught us was that with technology, almost anything is possible. So we wanted to ease the access to the finance to these people. So with Freight 365, it's operating on a web app. So you're able to manage your whole business off of this web app. So this is from invoices, tracking your expenses. It's all being able to be done through that platform. Now, for our individual clients through Raysun Capital that are accessing loans, we've opened loan accounts for them. They're able to check and see.
So are you registered as a financial institution?
Yes, we are. So we're registered as money lender through the RBZ.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And we've had our license in 2018. So we've been consistently operating, utilizing that. Yeah.
And in terms of funding, where do you start off, and what's your limit in terms of what you're able to?
Well, our minimum loan is actually at $50, and we can go up to either 5 or 10,000, depending on the nature of the business. So it is dependent on a case by case scenario, which is one of the things that has worked to our advantage, being able to tailor make products to whoever's need is.
Yeah.
So the guy who's operating a bottle store is different to the guy that is wanting to order more stock from China.
Or spare parts.
Or spare parts. So whatever it is. So we've had to say, look, what is your requirement? How can we ensure that we can still give you access to the finance, help you continue to run your business well, whilst ensuring that our return can still be able to come.
What's the big vision for Raysun going forward?
Well, our big vision is to be on the continent, and especially within SADC. We need to have a footprint, and we want to go within the next 10 years to be in at least 17 African countries. And we believe we're able to do that.
What's your footprint at the moment in Zim?
We are here in Zimbabwe. We are here in Harare, Masvingo, Beitbridge, Kariba, and Chinwe. Yes.
And so go ahead.
Yeah, and Blue Air as well.
And Blue Air. Yeah. And how does the family business fit into what you're doing? Because you are still involved in that.
Yes.
Talk to us about the family business.
Yeah, well, the family business is a transport business, like I mentioned, and it is mainly into the transportation of fuel and general cargo. We're in Zimbabwe and across into the continent. So that's up to Zambia, the DRC, also going to Johannesburg and Durban, and also to Beira. So we've been operating this business.
How old are you, by the way?
I turned 30 this year. I'm 29. Wow. I turned 30 at the end of the year.
Wow.
This year.
Well done.
Thank you.
Well done.
Thank you.
Right. So you've held the business in securing trucks and talk to us about that.
Yeah. It has been because of my role within being in finance and being able to plan and help the business achieve its strategic goals. So the business currently is on its growth trajectory. And one of our primary goals is for us to be able to double the fleet and also ensure that
what's the size of the fleet at the moment?
Right now, we're on 35 units.
These are the big haulers?
Yes.
What's the tonnage of the haulers?
Well, we've got 30-ton trailers, and we've also got 42,000-liter tankers that are able to transport. So these are mainly for bridging purposes from either Beira coming here into Harare or going across into the borders as well. Yeah. So with this family business, it's been a very important part and I've used it really as a springboard as well, going into my own career. And I'm grateful to my parents for their leadership, together with my brother as well, who's also stepped up a lot in terms of trying to lead everything in a certain direction.
So your elder brother is the MD of...
Farai currently is the general manager, yes. My mom is still there.
Okay,
she's
now... We shouldn't forget mom.
Yes, currently Farai, yes, he is the general manager. And in essence, My mom is advancing in age. So you would notice that majority of the decisions and the business is resting upon Farai and his leadership. Wow. So we are all looking up to him for him to be able to continuously guide us there.
Family businesses are good and bad. Talk to me about the family dynamics, because I remember went out to, what place, I've forgotten this place, but one of the case studies that we were looking at was the dynamics of family businesses, succession planning, handover and takeover. If the family dynamics are poisoned, the business gets affected, and how to avoid that. How have you negotiated that space?
Well, the old saying that says charity begins at home. Yeah. I think for us, it has had to be, the business exists, yes, and we've all have a responsibility to play there. But first and foremost is to say, how are we interacting as a family? Because if respect is there in the home, it has to translate to the business. If honor is there in the home, it has to translate to the business. And how does that then happen? So it's also through age. Now you realize my father was the managing director, my mom was working as the FD, and my brother was working as the operations director. Now when we had to reshuffle after my dad had died, you then see that those things are still as equally important. We would have chosen to say, now that mom is there, we don't want to respect her anymore. But you know very well that it has to be consistent. So for us, the family dynamics have been helped by saying, you need to ensure that there's harmony at home, utilize, and then just having a Chinese wall to say, when we're home, let's talk about the football, let's talk about all these things. Yes, you can check in about how you're irritated by someone at work, but let us remember that we are at home. Right, and then when we're at work, let's keep it professional. And I'm really grateful for the consultants that have come and helped us. So we've enlisted consultants to come help us with the succession planning, yes, and also to help us with just being professional at work, which has been amazing for us.
I wish the family business longevity. I've been following quite closely the family businesses in France, Louis Vuitton, these big corporations. They're good stories and bad stories. Very interesting space to look into. Brian, we're going to take a break here.
Okay.
When we come back, I want us to go into Grace of Life Foundation, Grace Life Foundation, which is one of your passions, and this crazy thing that you do, running between two oceans.
Okay.
So viewers, don't go away. When we come back, I'm going to ask this man why he runs around from one ocean to the other, and also his passion, which is Grace Life Foundation. See you on the other side.
We should not be in a place where we're discriminating our clients. We should open up avenues for us to be able to give our clients access to finance.
Welcome back to our conversation with Brian Munyawarara, the founder and CEO of Raysun Capital. So talk to us about the roadshow that you've been doing, demystifying money. What exactly happens, and what have been the feedback like?
Well, it's been a very exciting and very rewarding experience being on this tour. What we've really been trying to do is go into the market and be able to interact with our clients, and also be in a position where we're able to tailor-make products that suit our clients. So we've been going to universities, we've been going to our small business clients that are around the country. Just last week, we were in Bulawayo, Beitbridge, Masvingo, Gwanda, interacting with clients from all over. Also then helps you have perspective as you're sitting in the office here in Harare, trying to ensure that your products are acceptable to the people that we intend them to go to. The feedback has been amazing. The tools and some of the knowledge that I've been sharing from my own experiences, my failures, my life story, have also really empowered a majority of the people that we've been interacting with. And it's been amazing. I'll be traveling to the States, so we're going to put a pause to it. But as soon as I come back, we'll continue with the tour and finish off in Chinoi, at the UZ, at Africa University as well, in Manicaland, and then we'll conclude the tour for this year. Yeah.
What has been the most eye-opening encounter with some of your clients?
I think the information gap, that you can see that there's a desire to start businesses and there's a desire for people to access finance, But the thing that people often respond by saying is that we just didn't know. We do not have access to internet. We do not have access to this information. And thank you so much for coming, because now we've been made better for it. And it's not that they're only giving you feedback during the event. It's that 3 or 4 weeks later, they're ringing the office to say, because Brian and the team, they came and we managed to experience this. Because of the advice that I got from Tino during that time, we've managed to do business this way. So we'd like to access a loan through your business so that we can, expand what we've been doing. So it's been very, very rewarding.
Tell me, what is it that you're going to do differently as a result of the roadshow?
I think one of the primary things that we've actually been talking about is to say we should not be in a place where we're discriminating our clients. We should open up avenues for us to be able to give our clients access to finance. Because we realize that at times when you're here in Harare, because of how at times too street smart the people are, you're often on the back foot of wanting to be able to tailor-make products. So I think the emphasis then grows to say we need to open up new products that we can give people. And these include investment schemes, saving schemes, and things that are able to assist people, not only assisting them, but help them grow their businesses. Because as they do that, us as a business also begin to prosper. Yeah.
Tell me, the fact that our economy is so informalized, is that a hindrance to you? Or
it is both. I think it is a hindrance when we try match our economy to other economies. One of the lessons that I've learned even during the tour is that we need to take our lived reality as it is. Because this is what we've got.
We can't wish it to be anything else for now.
So what we have is what we have right now. So how do we
As people say, it is what it is.
Exactly. I like that you know that. Because it is what it is. So what are we going to do about what it is? And for us, we said, look, the economy is informalized. How do you create products for that formalized economy? They do not have collateral. What do we do in order to secure our money and at the same time help these businesses grow and help ourselves grow as well?
If you were in a position of authority and you've come back from this tour and you are the Minister of Finance, Economic Development, what would you do?
I think one of the things that I'll do is champion access to finance more. We've got the financial inclusion strategy that the RBZ is championing. We've got, schemes. We've got banks that have been set up by the government to do these things. But I often feel that there's a detachment from reality with what is actually on the ground. When we come up with policies, even if we say we've done a little bit of research and so on, yes, the government is very good in terms of decentralizing services, but to materialize the access to finance, and people, because they've got I like to call it a donor mentality, where they just want to receive. So they'll go access these loans, but they never pay them back. So yes, finance has been given, but they never then utilize it. So we need a two-pronged approach, in my opinion, where we provide the access to finance, but also go after these same people that we've given access to, because it should be on a merit basis, to people that can actually contribute to the economy, to growing the economy, and ensuring that the people that we're giving access to finance to are people that will positively contribute. Not only repay, but they're building businesses that are not only feeding their families, but they're also feeding their communities. Yeah.
And tell me, do you find that the challenge, from your experience in touring and so forth, is the challenge lack of ideas or lack of finance? What's your experience? What's your lived experience?
It is amalgamation of the two. So you've got people that have got grandiose ideas. And I remember last week I had to say to someone, your idea is beautiful, but the reality is that it will not succeed here. I remember last year when I was in Kenya, after we had gone together to also try to go and continuously raise finance for our business. One of the things that the people said, we had a round that we were trying to raise for. And they simply told us, your ask is too small. This was in the millions. They told us, your ask is too small. And I said to them, what do you mean? They said, no, we're only taking ticket sizes from about 20 million going upwards. So our idea is good. What we are thinking...
How much were you looking for?
We were looking for $1 million at the time. And they said to us, I know, look, it's too small. So now imagine my small heart hearing $1 million, small. So we had to be like, it gives you perspective in terms of the nature and types of businesses that are actually, and also what's also happening on the continent. We don't need to be myopic in our approach and think of Zimbabwe as the only possible market that's there.
Absolutely.
We've got the continent to take care of. Yeah.
So tell me, you're talking now, you were raising $1 million. What's your funding requirements right now? And what is it that would change the trajectory of your business?
Look, our primary focus right now is scaling onto the continent, particularly because we realize that through the transportation of various goods or services, Zimbabwe is in a very, very good spot where a lot of these trucks are transiting through Zimbabwe into the region. And because of that, we see that our clients, which are these transporters, Zimbabwean transporters, and a few Zambian transporters, still need access to this finance. They're looking for debt factoring. So our partners really are partners that we can continue to partner with in providing these services for debt factoring. So that as we continuously grow, as we scale onto the continent, our remittances, being able to do these transfers for them, and also helping to provide working capital for this business will really, really go a long way. So we're looking right now at raising $2.5 million. And we feel that with where we are at already, it will solidify our plans for our next scaling phase and also ensure that wherever we're going and we're not compromising on our quality, we're not compromising on our service. Because it's something that we really take pride in, being able to provide quality service to our clients.
So are you going to the US for a roadshow, fundraising?
Well, my going to the US, yes, is also going to be coupled with that. But the primary reason is I made it to the Mandela Washington Fellowship. So thank you very much. So I'll be away taking part in that fellowship. And there's also been, a couple of meetings that are already lined up, particularly because of my access to being in the States. So majority of the funders that, we've been courting and trying to speak to are based in the States and are based in the UK. So I'll have an opportunity during my travels to be able to visit both.
Fantastic. We wish you the best on that.
Thank you.
Your passion, you also have a passion for helping others, and Grace Life Foundation. And I'm fascinated by, you say you got a vision during a prayer session in 2018 to start Grace Life Foundation. Briefly take us into that vision and then what Grace Life Foundation is all about.
It was during a season of prayer, and I might have, when I say into that, I might have missed the dates because it's actually in 2016. We ended up starting the foundation in 2018, but it was in 2016. I'd gone through a phase where I was feeling that I need to be able to identify what my purpose is. What is it that I'm going to do?
How old were you then?
I was 20.
20.
Yeah.
Wow.
I should have been 20 at the time.
Wow.
I was still
You know why I say wow?
Why?
Because at 20, I didn't care what my purpose was. So I'm impressed by you at 20 already searching for your purpose.
Yeah, and I was like...
So there you are, searching for a purpose 2016?
And the only way I knew how to do it was, yes, I can read books, but I was like, I'm a believer, and I think that everything that I am doing needs to come from God, because He answers all things. So I went to the season of prayer, went on to a 21-day fast. As I was praying and fasting for that, I remember I began to write down what I believed the vision was, which would be for my life to be a life of impact, to help people. I wrote down clearly on paper with the target market that we're going to be involved in. So now, through professionalism, been able to segment those things to say we're going to champion access to health, we're going to educate people, we're going to also ensure that we are securing economies for food security. So you
would say DV.
Yes.
If I could call them that. Care for Soul. What is that? What does that involve?
Care for Soul is really our health program where we are working with local clinics and referral hospitals in terms of trying to equip them with equipment so that they can better serve the people that are in the communities that they're in. You'll find that some of our rural clinics do not have equipment. The budgets are tight, things are difficult. So we feel that we can step in to also cover that gap to ensure that the people that are in these societies are not left off, that we can reduce infant mortality rates so that the people that are going to give birth there can get the best quality care that they can, regardless of how remote you are, that there's enough equipment for you to be able to do that.
Educator Soul?
Through Educator Soul, we've named a scholarship, and I named it after my mother. Seeing her work in terms of trying to educate our relatives and some other people as well. And we named it the Brian Munyawarara Scholarship. So this one really looks after the orphans and the vulnerable. And we are giving out scholarships, not necessarily giving out. We are running a scholarship program where we do send kids to school. And our primary objective there is to ensure that even if you're an orphan or you're a vulnerable one, there's still hope for you, that you're able to still cross across the line. And it's not only through that scholarship. We've got career guidance workshops that we operate and run. We also have, even for the parents that are looking after them, we've got some training workshops that we do. And a lot of things that ensure that these guys are not left behind just because they're vulnerable.
You named it after your mother. What is the one thing that your mother has influenced you on?
Compassion. Compassion. She's got a big heart. And often at times, when I was young, I would say, they're taking advantage of you. But I later on realized that for her, helping is not because she's received a thank you, but she feels that it is her responsibility to take care and to ensure that people are well. So that was one of the primary reasons why we did that.
And Feed a Soul?
Well, Feed a Soul is our food security program. And through this program, we're trying to empower the communities in which we operate in so that they can become food secure. And one such example is the greenhouse projects that we're running at Nyarazu Children's Home in Rugari. And currently we are on a trajectory to keep expanding this in children's homes and also for the communities. So especially for the Rugari community, we are in talks right now of acquiring a bigger piece of land that we can use also as a training center for our beneficiaries, so that we can use that to train, partner with organizations like Foundations for Farming, so that we are training our beneficiaries in sustainable livelihoods so that they are able to take care of themselves. So you see, with the foundation, it's really trying to ensure that we are bringing out whole people out of the people that are either marginalized or are forgotten, ensuring that they are well. And as we do that, it also contributes to their communities and to the economy as well.
Brian, am I right that CV Hub, which you started in 2017, humbled you?
Oh, beyond. That was real humility. This idea was born out of me being very eager and optimistic. So remember...
You're 21, 20?
Then I was 22. 22. So you're like, okay, I've been in the UK, I've seen CV Library, I've seen how it works.
I've been in the diaspora, I
know it all. I know it all. So I'm there, I try to set up this business. We've got the website, we've got the web app working. So good. And I thought that I was going to be so rich and make a lot of money.
What is the solution that you're offering?
The solution there was being able to match employers and recruiters. And people that are looking for job seekers and employers. So like, okay, the market is rife. People are unemployed. They're looking for a place where they can do this. And the employers, I'm really sure they're doing it. But the economy was failing. The economy wasn't really recruiting as many people as much. People don't really want to pay for those kind of services. So I'm doing that business. We've got a team. I'm working with Craig. We're working on this thing. But I then realized that you have to keep the lights on. I've overemployed people. I'm overpaying. I'm doing all of these things. I can't keep up. And I had to quickly shut down. Not because the solution was bad, but I wasn't ready and fit for it. Now that I have a lot of know-how and knowledge about the ins and outs of the recruitment
Was
industry.
that your biggest failure in life, or there's been another big failure?
Raysun would have been when Raysun shut down.
But at least you picked yourself up.
That was a difficult one. But CVRB, it was, I would call it my first love. That didn't last. That didn't last long.
that broke your heart.
Yes, that broke my heart and left me wounded.
Oh dear. So you have lots of these things that you're doing. I'm not just running through what you're doing, and it's Raysun Capital. You tried CV Hub, Freight 365 is still going. The family business, the Howard family business is still going. And you are running Grace Life Foundation. Where do you get the time to do this?
Well, there is no time. But I think what's really helped is my schedule. My schedule then allows me to focus and concentrate. That if it's an FBM day, it's an FBM day. We deal with issues that have to do with FBM. So my mind is focused on what I'm doing. I'm grateful for my business partners at Raysun Capital. Tino, who's been when I'm not there, he's the one that's holding everything together. When I'm not there, I'm very confident that the team that's in place is able to do it. So the teams that are around me allow me the freedom to be able to either go on tour, participate in the fellowship, do all these things that I'm doing now. So I'm really grateful for that. So that's where I find the time. And you mentioned all these things, and one of the things that really edifies me is being part of the Celebration Church. Me going to church keeps me rooted and keeps me focused and energized, really. Just this last Sunday I was at church after having been on tour, and I don't remember when I last felt so energized to say, look, you are in a place where you're fellowshipping and you are praying and praising to God. And I'm very grateful for that. So that is how my time then.
Why do you run between two oceans?
Well, I ran because...
Two Oceans Marathon. Yeah. Why do you do that?
Well, you need to look forward to something in life, and for my 30 under 30 list, I'd said to myself, I need to run. And because usually I'm a person who, when he gets committed to something, I then remain committed to that. So I put myself out, and even through Grace Life, so much so that for Grace Life Foundation, we even have an annual marathon now because of that.
What do you get from running?
I get peace of mind, refreshing. And, when you're still starting out in your running, you are not really as fast as other people. So you're competing with other people that are running maybe under 2 hours. They're running 21 Ks under 2 hours. And there you are running 2 hours 30, 2 hours 40. So it keeps you motivated to wanting to become better.
Working towards a goal.
And in doing so, it's cold right now. So this morning I went on a 5K jog, but it was very, very chilly.
So you do this every morning?
Yes, I try to do that. Yeah.
Do you have a daily morning routine?
Yes.
What does it look like?
My daily morning routine involves me waking up and praying first. I'm grateful to God before I actually even leave my bed. After doing that, I just quickly glance at my calendar and know what's ahead of me. Then I go out for the exercise, come back home, shower, and then off to work. That time alone in the morning before I even step out of the house is very, very useful to me. And it's one of the things that I learned from the 5 a.m. club, which really, really helped me out there.
Talking about the 5 a.m. club, shall we go? Books, eh? Yes. You've just taken us very nicely as if we planned this. Viewers out there love books, and this is one of favorite segments of this conversation. Yeah. So, what books have you read that you'd recommend to the viewers out there? Oh, like 3. Somebody the other day was saying, Trevor, why don't you make it 5? But I wish we had all the time. Just 3 books that have.
I think 3 books that I would recommend. I'm sure they've been mentioned on the show a couple of times. I've seen people recommending it. There's The 5 a.m. Club by Robin Sharma. Really because it helped shape my mind into the importance of having a routine. And the greatest lesson I learned from there was consistency. The second book I would recommend is The 7 Things Every Black Entrepreneur Should Know by Karabo Mokape. He's a South African author. It's a very simple book written simplistically, but it's very good and a necessary tool for the 22-year-old me, that it teaches you on the realities of life as an entrepreneur and what avenues in which you can use. And my favorite book of all time that I love, and I try reread it as many times as I can, is the Bible, because I get a lot of lessons from there. And thank God for my daily Bible reading program, which encourages me to read a proverb every day. So whether I want it or not, I keep going back to this lovely book of mine.
That's beautiful. Yeah. So here's my habit when it comes to reading the Bible. I read Proverbs in the morning plus another chapter. I read Psalms in the evening before I go to bed. I've just completed the Psalms. I'm starting again. So by the end of the year, I've almost read throughout the Bible. Yeah.
Beautiful.
So, awesome stuff. There's an election in South Africa. I think South Africans in the diaspora have just gone through the election. This is a book I would recommend. And I know my good friend Justice Malala has done another book. This book is called We Have Now Begun Our Descent, How to Stop South Africa Losing Its Way. I would recommend this book if you want to understand our neighbor, which is my other home, my other country. So highly recommended.
Thank you.
Brian, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
We love what you are doing, and here is why we love what you're doing, because you're feeding souls, you are educating souls, and you're building a company. You're creating jobs. You're helping people access funding for their businesses, for their dreams. And you're just 30. Isn't that amazing? Yeah. So we wish you all the best.
Thank you very
that
much.
You managed to raise the 2.5 million that you're looking for. And that in 5 years' time, you'll be sitting there and telling us that you're all over the continent and making more money and touching more lives. So Brian, thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
We wish you all the best.
Thank you.
Let me turn over to our viewers who are all over the world to say thank you so much for following the show. Guess what? We're on 60,000 subscribers as of yesterday and 8.9 million views. I mean, isn't that amazing? And it's because of you watching us every Monday, 7 a.m. Central African time on YouTube and on other platforms. We have gone further, by the way, and created a website where all our content sits, including our podcasts, for your listening pleasure. So you can be listening to us as you are washing your car, cleaning your plates, cleaning the room, the house rather. Thank you so much for your support. We see your comments, keep them coming. We see your suggestions, keep them coming. And to ensure you don't miss out on any of these shows, please remember to subscribe, to like, and to share. Until next time, cheers to you all.